Good day, ladies and gentlemen of the press. The critical stakeholders of our blessed Niger Delta region concerned citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I, Chief Diplomat Ambassador Adam Ogomungo Ibimobowe Mambo, the National President of the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, NDPYF, hereby invite you all on this day, March 24th of 2025, to a press briefing concerning the state of affairs of our dear country, Nigeria. This is because Nigeria belongs to all of us. As a patriotic citizen, we must stand tall to defend its integrity and democracy. We have no other country but Nigeria, and we must protect and defend its image, both locally, nationally, and internationally. You all are aware that on the 18th of March, 2025, Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, GCFRO, declared a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended the governor, Similaimi Fubara, his deputy, and all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. He also appointed a sole administrator, Vice Admiral Hibukete Ebas, retired, a former chief of naval staff, to manage the affair of Rivers State for 6 months. Mr. President cited the following reasons to back up his actions. 1, he stated that the ongoing crisis has paralyzed governance in Rivers State, saying with the crisis persisting, democratic governance, and which we all have fought and worked for over the years, cannot drive in a way that benefit the good people of the state. He also stated that he has been at the River State has been at a standstill since the crisis began, preventing its residents from enjoying the dividends of democracy. He also said that intervention by prominent figures had failed to resolve this crisis. Now we are also making Mr. President to know that Pande fully embraced his own directive to sustain its ongoing mandatory and reconciliation effort to intensify engagement with key stakeholders. This is order to foster dialogue and achieve an amicable resolution that guarantee lasting peace and harmony in the political crisis in Rivers State. The Peace and Reconciliation Committee, which remain committed to resolving the political crisis in Rivers State, is composed of respected personalities with a strong record of leadership in the Niger Delta, including former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Victor Atta, then Colonel Pan Oga, former military governor of Kwara State, and His Excellency Admiral Jonah John, former deputy governor of Bayelsa State, Chief Mrs. Stella Omu, former chief whip of the Senate, and vice chairperson of the Senate Committee on National Planning, Women Affairs, and Youth Development. Engineer Emmanuel Ibukisa, former senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Roland Stephen Owe, former senator of the Fourth Republic, and Right Honorable Dr. Stella Ayamara Dogu, former leader in the House Representative. These were also people that been meet Mr. President in the villa and agreed to work for the Peace and Reconciliation Committee of Rivers State. The governor of Rivers State, Symfoni, demonstrated willingness to engage with this committee, while the Honorable Minister continued to demonstrate hostility and a dismissive attitude towards this eminent Peace and Reconciliation Committee. That shows that Symfoni was ready for peace, while the other party were just interested of impeachment. It is a public, President also make a statement that it is a public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reason, demolished the House of Assembly as far back as December 13, 2023, and has yet to rebuild it, even after 14 months. And we also make President understand that people come to Villa and lie. Come to Villa and lie and deceive Mr. President. And Mr. President can aware that people came to Villa and lie to you that there was no new construction of building. But it's unfortunate that the sole administrator you appointed, Vice Admiral Ubuk, has confirmed that it did inspection of the ongoing work at the complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt, local government area. On Saturday, urging the contractor to speed up work and delivered. The project agreed and upon that the works. And he also said that the project is 80% completion. And President also make a statement that he have observed personally that between the contending parties to facilitate a peaceful resolution, but by effort has been largely ignored. And also aware that many meaningful Nigeria's leaders of thought and patriotic groups have made similar attempts to no avail. Our president further accused Governor Fubara of unconstitutional act and disregard for the rules of law. On February 28, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a judgment on about 8 consolidated appeals concerning the political crisis in Rivers State. The court, based on the grave unconstitutional act and the disregard for the rules of law committed by the governor, evidence before it pronounced its ruling in very clear terms that the Supreme Court emphasized the absence of a functional government in Rivers State, stating a government cannot be said to exist without all 3 arms of government and functions. Under the 1999 Constitution as amended, in this case, the head of executive's arms and deliberately collapsed the structure to enable him to govern without legislation, oversight, effectively ruling as a despot. As it stands, there is no functioning government in Rivers State, which we wish as organization to inform Mr. President that based on the Supreme Court judgment, Wizkid demand, Governor Symfoni started to implement the process of the Supreme Court judgment. Firstly, all elected local government chairmen across the 23 local government areas of Rivers State been dissolved, and the head of local government administrative officers across the 23 local government area were given the responsibility and obligation of the council. Secondly, the governor also went to Rivers State House of Assembly to represent the 2025 budget to Honorable Monitize led Rivers State House of Assembly. Unfortunately, the gate of Rivers State House of Assembly was locked against the executive governor of the state. Later, Honorable Monitize announces an indefinite resection in the State House of Assembly. President also asserted that before declaring the state of emergency, our president accused Governor Symfoni of failing to disown militants who have threatened to destroy pipelines in the state. President also said that the House of Assembly and the governor has failed to work together, neither seem to realize they have in office to serve the people and the peace and good governance of the state. However, the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation observed that with the issue raised by our president, it is clear that Mr. President Bola Tinubu was systematically misinformed by some individuals within the ASO Villa for their personal gain. Otherwise, the concerned issue raised by Mr. President are not sufficient to justify the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State. This is because Rivers State is not at war. It is a political disagreement between the FCT minister, Barrister Wizkid, and the governor Fubara that require a political solution. As some of us being in the presidential villa, we could have advised Mr. President Bola Tinubu to set up an independent presidential reconciliation and peace committee to intervene between the governor Symfoni, FCT minister, and the 27 lawmakers of Rivers State, instead of a state of emergency in Rivers State. According to the 1999 Constitution, a state of emergency can be declared under the following conditions: if Nigeria is at war, if the country faces an imminent threat of invasion or involvement in war, if there is a breakdown of public order and safety in any part of the country, if there is a clear and present danger of such breakdown, if a disaster or natural calamity has occurred or is imminent, if any situation arises that poses a significant threat to Nigeria's existence if a state governor requests a state of emergency or fails to act within the responsible time, allowing the president to make such decision. According to the 1999 Constitution, a state of emergency can be declared under these circumstances. There is no doubt that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has the power to declare a state of emergency in any part of the country. However, the Constitution does not grant the President the power to suspend an elected governor, deputy governor, or members of the legislature. Furthermore, the power to declare state of emergency is under Section 305 of the Constitution is not absolute. That is why Section 3051 used the paragraph phrase that subject to the provision of this Constitution. The President is not the employee of the governor or deputy governor of Rivers State. None is the employee of the members of the State House of Assembly. The power to declare a state of emergency in any part of Nigeria or even across the entire country must be exercised in accordance with the provision of the 1999 Constitution as amended and must not be exercised in a flagrant violation of the same Constitution. This is clearly shows that Chief Lateef Fagbemi, senior advocate of Nigeria, the current Attorney General of the Federation and Honorable Minister for Justice, has failed in his duties and responsibilities. To advise Mr. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu on the proper interpretation of the Nigeria Constitution regarding the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, NDPYL, also acknowledged the fundamental fact that the President holds the constitutional right to declare state of emergency in any part of the country. However, this proclamation must be published in the official government gazette and ratified by the National Assembly, requiring approval from two-thirds of each members. It is important to state clearly that the current Nigerian National Assembly, under the leadership of Senate President Chief Godswill Akpabio and the Speaker of House of Representatives, has failed Nigeria due to their inability to correct Mr. President Ahmed Bola Tinubu on the issues of the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The implication of this state of emergencies, if not addressed, could be far-reaching. For instance, another president might have interest in one of the Niger Delta oil-producing states and instigate a minor crisis and declare state of emergency in that particular state and appointing a sole administrator from state like Sokoto or Kano to manage its affair. Nigerian politicians should not encourage any model that contradicts the rule of law and the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria. Despite its intended purposes, a state of emergency carries significant risk, such as abuse of power, threat to democracy, political manipulation. In this regard, ministers appointed by President Ahmed Bola Tinubu should use their privileged position to assist and advise him on sound decision that will enable his administration of renewal hope to succeed rather than misinforming him for their political gain. It is pertinent to state that Mr. President issued a presidential directive to appoint Vice Admiral Eti as administrator to take charge of the affair of Rivers State. In the interest of good people of Rivers State, Mr. President further stated that the declaration of those not affect the judicial arm of Rivers State, which shall continue to function in accordance with the constitutional mandate. The administrator will not make any new laws. He will be free to formulate regulations and may be necessary to carry out his duties, but such regulation will need to be considered and approved by the Federal Executive Council and promulgated by the President for the state. The inevitable intervention of the administration will restore peace and order in the Rivers State by awakening all contenders to the constitutional imperative binding on political players in Rivers State, in particular, the Nigeria as whole. As a former chief of naval staff and a newly appointed administrator in Rivers State, his experience in military discipline strategic planning, and crisis management will be tested. This is the time for him to demonstrate his genuine experience in building consolidated peace between the Governor Symfoni and Right Honorable Monitize led State House of Assembly. Therefore, the administrator should not be biased, as he continues to work to restore the democratically elected officers and political stability in Rivers State within the stipulated 6 months. Finally, the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, NDPYL, called on President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to be vigilant and monitor the body language of all his political appointees. Most importantly, the ministers to checkmate any activity that are inimical to his re-election in 2027. NDPYLF will continue to stand tall in defense of Nigeria's constitutional democracy and ensure that in 2027, Southern Nigeria maintain the presidency until 2031. God bless you all. God bless Rivers State. God bless Niger Delta region. And God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria. I remain the Chief Diplomat Adam Ogobungomabo, the National President of the Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, aka the Voice of the Voiceless. Thank you.